So here's the wild part about scandals in the modern age. They never really die. They just go quiet for a bit, wait until everybody's looking in a different direction, then pop up again, like, hey, miss me? And nothing proves that better than the Epstein universe. Files or no files, lists or no lists, names or no names. It's Schrodinger's scandal at this point. Two realities existing at the same time until somebody opens the box or leaks the documents, whichever comes first. And because the internet's attention span is basically a caffeinated goldfish, most people kind of assumed the Epstein thing wrapped up years ago. The court cases happened, Maxwell went to prison, and mainstream news sort of sighed like, okay, that's over, moving on. But the thing about scandals involving billionaires, royalty, intelligence agencies, private islands, and alleged blackmail operations is they're never really over. Not in the public imagination, not in the I'll just Google this at 3 a.m. and ruin my sleep sense, and definitely not in the rumor circles online where people catalog flight logs like it's fantasy football. So now jump to January 2026. Meghan Markle's living her best California lifestyle era. Sunshine, avocados, PR-friendly fresh beginnings. Netflix is like, here, have a cooking show. And if you're just looking at the surface, it's all glossy and clean and unbothered. Which, respect honestly. Reinventing yourself post-royal meltdown takes stamina and a good therapist. But meanwhile, completely off camera, completely separate from the Hollywood glow-up, whispers start moving through the Epstein rumor circuits again. And what makes this round different is the alleged source. It's not a random podcast bro. It's not that one guy on TikTok who always films in his car for some reason. It's supposedly something to do with Maxwell's time in prison. Documents, diaries, emails, depending on who you ask. Now, before anybody starts clutching pearls, let's be clear. These are rumors, gossip, speculation, the internet's favorite cardio. Nobody's waving verified evidence in front of the BBC. But the rumor is too strange, too cinematic, and too nerve-touching not to talk about, especially when Meghan Markle is the name at the center of it. Because nothing fires up royal watchers faster than the woman who managed to become the royal family's biggest plot twist since Diana walked into Buckingham Palace and said, "Surprise!" The alleged storyline goes like this. Maxwell supposedly kept a diary in prison. Not a Dear Diary Today My Souple's Cold situation, more like detailed notes about the years she spent orbiting Epstein, his network, and the extremely wealthy men who allegedly treated the Caribbean like their adult-only Disneyland. Rumor claims these notes included names, dates, visits, connections, the kind of material that, if real, would make powerful people sweat through their tailored suits. And allegedly, again, we're living in rumor world here, Meghan Markle's name appears in those whisper-circulated descriptions. Not once, not twice, but 12 times, as in 12 alleged trips to Epstein's private island during the Hollywood struggling actress era, the Deal or No Deal briefcase girl era, the pre-Harry era, the era nobody really talks about except in fuzzy paparazzi snapshots and yacht party speculation. Now, here's where you pause, sip water, and squint at the ceiling like, really? Meghan Markle? The same woman who now does TED Talk vibe speeches about female empowerment and humanitarian work and royal trauma processing? That Meghan? And this is why the rumor blew up, because even the possibility of those two storylines ever overlapping, Hollywood hustle and Epstein's secret island ecosystem, is such a narrative contradiction that it becomes irresistible to internet theorists. And honestly, this is why scandals involving the royal family never die. The public already has a baseline level of suspicion about that world. Too much history, too much money, too many private jets, too many scandals that got quietly handled by sources close to the palace and never spoken of again. Add Meghan, a woman whose brand is polarized more than American politics, and suddenly you've got the perfect conspiracy smoothie. But before we go deeper, quick housekeeping. If you're watching this and you're obsessed with royal gossip, Epstein mysteries, shadow elite rumor chasing, or anything involving Buckingham Palace side quests, hit like, hit subscribe, drop a comment, you know the deal. Helps the channel, boosts morale, pleases the algorithm gods. Back to the story. Here's what makes the rumors extra spicy. The alleged timeline lines up with a very specific window in Epstein world, early 2000s through 2013-ish, before Epstein got slapped with the sweetheart deal in 2008, before the media finally said, hold on, what's going on here? before the world learned phrases like Little St. James and Lolita Express, which still feels like the most cursed trivia question of all time. And that timeline overlaps with Meghan's "I'm auditioning and networking and hoping my agent calls" life days, which feels the "how would she have access to that world" question, because Epstein's island wasn't Club Med. You didn't just hop a ferry with a beach towel and sunscreen and vibe. You needed private flights, invitations, connections, and a social passport into extremely wealthy circles. And that's where the internet rumor machine pulls out Marcus Anderson like a trump card. The Soho House guy, the man who appears in Meghan's life like a recurring NPC in a video game. People online swear Marcus Anderson is a secret bridge between Meghan and various wealthy men's circles during the Hollywood years. Again, rumor territory, but rumors don't need proof to travel. They only need vibes and timing. And timing is half of what drives conspiracy culture. The other half is silence. Because while this whole Epstein diary rumor swirled through the online Epstein watcher crowd, Meghan's team didn't say a word. No denials, no lawsuits, no legal letters. Nothing. Nada. And listen, silence can mean 10,000 different things. It can mean "this isn't worth acknowledging," or "my lawyers are tired," or "ignore it and it dies faster." But to scandal watchers, silence is blood in the water. It activates that primal "there's more here" instinct. This is where the Epstein world is uniquely cursed, because unlike most scandals, Epstein's network is built on missing information, half-confirmed documents, sealed court files, people who don't recall, cameras that mysteriously malfunctioned, billionaires who barely knew the guy despite being photographed with him 15 times and vacationing in his properties like it was Airbnb. So the public fills the gaps with speculation. They connect dots that may or may not exist. It becomes a meta story, not just about Epstein, but about the machinery of power and secrecy and wealth. And Meghan is catnip to that machine, because everything about her life post-2016 feels like a story with missing chapters. How did she meet Harry? Why did the palace explode like a Shakespeare drama when she entered the chat? Why did she become the most polarizing public figure in modern royal history? The internet wants context, and rumor ecosystems love filling context with whatever theories will cause the most chaos at Thanksgiving dinner. One of the funniest parts of this rumor cycle is the role Prince Andrew plays as a perpetual ghost in the narrative, because he's a confirmed link between Epstein's world and the royal family. He's the reason these rumors even stick to Meghan at all. If Andrew didn't exist, the Meghan-Epstein speculation wouldn't have oxygen. But Andrew does exist, and so does that BBC interview, and so does the settlement, and so do the photos. And this leads to the most deliciously dark hypothetical the scandal crowd keeps whispering. What if Meghan knew about Andrew's Epstein ties long before she entered the royal family? What if she walked in already aware of the family's most radioactive skeleton? Could you imagine the palace chefs seasoning their roast chicken while that tension simmered in the air? Now again, rumor world, speculation land, gossip island. We're not making claims, we're analyzing why people love these theories. And here's the psychological part. People don't believe scandals because they're true. They believe scandals because they feel true. They match a pattern. Meghan has always been positioned as someone who understands strategy, optics, social climbing, reinvention, and that alone makes her a prime character in conspiracy storytelling, because in conspiracy fiction, the protagonist is always someone who knows more than they say. Another reason the rumor spread was the aesthetics. I know, that sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. Epstein's Island is one of the most visually cinematic scandals ever. Private jets, billionaires, political power, palm trees, secrecy, surveillance, blackmail. If you pitched it as an HBO series 15 years ago, executives would have said it was too unrealistic. And Meghan, actress, princess, media strategist, fits right into that aesthetic universe in a way that fuels imagination. And imagination is 80% of internet scandal culture. But the biggest question isn't, is it true? The biggest question is, why are people obsessed with it? Why does Meghan attract rumors like a magnet? Why does a royal family trigger conspiracy brain? Why does Epstein's world refuse to fade into quiet history? Spoiler, because people don't trust institutions anymore. Governments, media, royal families, billionaires, courts, intelligence agencies. Everyone feels like they're hiding something, all the time. Epstein's story confirmed those suspicions, not because of the crimes, which were horrific, but because of how many powerful people were connected to him and how little we still know about what he collected on them. And so, every time a figure who moves through wealth or elite circles becomes famous, the rumor machine runs a background check. Meghan was always going to end up in that crosshairs eventually. Epstein was just the most explosive topic. By this point in the script, some of you are already typing in the comments like, show the diary, link the sources, who leaked it, and what does Harry think about all this? And honestly, same. If there ever was a diary, half the world would sprint to read it before the first lawyer even opened their laptop. But here's the twist. Sometimes the rumor itself is the story, the idea that Maxwell has leverage, the idea that elites fear documentation, the idea that secrets can be weaponized. Whether there's a real diary or not almost doesn't matter. The cultural imagination already wrote its own version. And Meghan, she becomes a character in that version whether she wants to or not. Anyway, if you're still here at this point, you're clearly as unwell about scandals as the rest of us. So go ahead and hit like, subscribe, drop your theories in the comments, tell me what angle you want next. The Andrew angle, the Harry angle, the intelligence agency angle, the corporate yacht girl rumors. This universe has branches like a conspiracy family.